Ain't no use to keep taking abuse from a friend who isn't kind. A friend in need, a friend that you need, who can help you through the troubled times. So reach on out and take a hold of my hand. Let me know that you're ready to go. 'Cause there ain't no dues and you can leave your blues behind. Have a little peace, peace of mind. Have a little peace, peace of mind. Well, there comes a time when your friends go blind and their words become diseased. They threaten your life with the blade of a knife and set you down on your knees. But make no mistake, for your very own sake, here's a little word for you now. Just take off your shoes and let your thoughts be kind. And have a little peace, peace of mind. Give me some peace, peace of mind. Now some folks find speak a mighty fine line. They charm you all the way. They take you along on a sweet, sweet song, and then they steal your heart away. But blessed be the ones who can understand why people have to act that way. 'Cause if I knew, I wouldn't need to say. Have a little peace, peace of mind. Give me some peace, peace of mind. Give a little peace, peace of mind. Everybody wants peace, a peace of mind. Give me some peace, peace of mind.
Good morning, Unity. Errol Rose is going to lead us today in our opening prayer.
Good morning, Unity of Gaithersburg. So let's breathe in the wondrous energy of creation, of understanding, of bliss, knowing that everything that we say today, everything that we do is in divine order, is blessed as we are all blessed. I give thanks for all the songs, all the music, and all the words, and knowing that we come together in peace and harmony. I give thanks for this, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Errol. That was beautiful. It is my joy and pleasure to be here today. Thank you. And during this season of Advent, we'll be lighting the Advent candle each week. And this week, we are celebrating peace. Errol, would you join me? As Errol lights our candle this week, and you'll see our Christ candle is already lit, let us recite peace. Never be in a hurry Do everything quietly and in a calm spirit. Do not lose your inner peace for anything whatsoever, even if your whole world seems upset. Thank you, Errol. If you are joining us for the first time today, we are delighted to see you. And if you are in cyberspace, welcome. Our greeters here have an information packet if you would like. And if you are online, please either call us or contact us through our website, unityofgaithersburg.org. And now, if you haven't already done so, it's an excellent time to silence your cell phones. And this week, we are highlighting our diversity core value. It'd be awesome if we could all say this together. We embrace and model diversity, inclusivity, and equity with a commitment to practicing anti-racism, promoting social justice, and acknowledging and affirming the humanity and dignity of all individuals. And this week, we are delighted to welcome Jackie Woodside as our guest speaker. Pam, who will be giving us our transformational opportunities, will further introduce her. But for now, let's have some special music.
Feel free to sing along. This is a congregational. Said the night wind to the little lamb, do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little lamb, do you see what I see? A star, dancing in the night with a tail as big as a kite, with a tail as big as a kite. Said the little lamb to the shepherd boy, hear what I hear, ringing through the sky, shepherd boy. Do you hear what I hear? A song high above the trees, with a voice as big as the sea, with a voice as big as the sea. Said the shepherd boy to the mighty king, do you know what I know? In your palace warm, mighty king, do you know what I know? A child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Said the little king to the people everywhere, listen to what I say, and pray for peace, people everywhere. Listen to what I say. A child sleeping in the night, he will bring us He will bring us goodness and light.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Pam Mills, and now I bring you some transformational opportunities, beginning with our holiday giving tree. Vanna, if you will. So Sharon will show us how we have this wonderful box that is awaiting your gifts. So all you need to do is come up to our wonderful holiday giving tree, pick an envelope. Let's see, this is $6.50. No, too small. Let's see, how about, here we go, $1 million. For those of you who would like to gift us $1 million, you take the envelope, put in your good check, and then place it in the box. And we are very grateful for all of your gifts. So you'll have a few weeks to continue in the holiday gift-giving tradition. Okay, so speaking of gifts, we also have the angel tree that is available for those of you who have picked out your angel families. I had a wonderful opportunity to buy a bunch of unicorns for a bunch of little children, which made me very happy because I got to play with them for a few days. But anyhow, it is providing gifts for children whose parents are incarcerated at the Clarksburg facility. So bring unwrapped gifts to the church and have them sent to Sally Mills no later than December 12th. So actually today, if you would like to express your creative juices immediately following the service, we will be meeting in the education building and wrapping some of the gifts that have already been received. So please join us after service today to do your gift wrapping. So we will be on top of, we have 50 families that we volunteered for. Is that amazing? We are prosperous. All right, and we will also be having our C informational meeting coming up on Sunday, December the 12th after the service. So for those of you who are aware that C is the spiritual, educational, and enlightenment courses that we do here every year at Unity of Gaithersburg. It is a wonderful opportunity. We have people who join us from all over, even internationally, Canada and all over. So please join us. This is a wonderful opportunity that we'll be meeting and discussing the program. Okay, and we have our Youth and Family Ministry volunteer sign up. Our Youth and Family Ministries are looking for volunteers to assist us with the classes every week or do other services along with to support the Youth and Family Ministry. So if you have any interest in volunteering or would like more information, please email yfm2@Unity of Gaithersburg. And our Women's Circle will be meeting on December the 21st from 7 to 9. So please join us here on campus for our Women's Circle. It always is a wonderful event of women bonding and just fun women's stuff. I can't tell you all. It's a lot of secret women's stuff. But it's really cool. So if you haven't participated in the really super cool, super secretive women's stuff, please join us for the Winter Solstice Gathering on the 21st. And did you know that today is the 7th of 8 days of Hanukkah? So, for those of you who do celebrate a variety of winter ceremonies and festivities, in addition to Christmas, Kwanzaa, and the many holidays that fall this time of year, Hanukkah is also a festivity celebration that is of Jewish origin. So, for those of you who are raised Jewish, traditionally Jewish, culturally Jewish, sat next to a Jewish person at one time in your life, now you can find out more about Hanukkah. And so these are the symbols of Hanukkah. We use oil and candles and a menorah, dreidel, fried foods and latkes that kind of go with the oil. They're very yummy, and I make some delicious latkes, just want to tell you. Gift giving to celebrate just the prosperity that we have to share. If you'd like to kind of talk a little bit about Hanukkah in unity terms, it very much is about celebrating the presence of miracles in our life. So the story of Hanukkah, I'll just give you this short and dirty. It was another one of those, someone tried to kill the Jews, we survived, so let's eat holidays. And, maybe only I can say that, but that's because that's my origin. But it very much is a lot of these holidays. Hanukkah is not a religious holiday. No, it is not the Jewish Christmas. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. But what it very much is, it's celebrating the traditions being passed on from one generation of people to the next generation. Because the Jewish people survived a war where the Greeks came into Jerusalem, took over the temple, kicked us out, said, hey, you want to worship Zeus or die? So we were like, I don't know. We're going to fight you. So we won. And that's kind of like the good story of Hanukkah, that when the Greeks came into the temple and extinguished what hangs over it's called the eternal flame. It hangs over the Torah. If you've ever been to a synagogue, you might see it. And it is basically on all the time. And so back in the day when they didn't have electricity, they used oil to light this eternal flame that hung over, the Torah for, all the time. And so when they extinguished the flame, and they wanted to rededicate the temple after this war that the Maccabees won, they went to look for the oil so they could relight the flame. And they only found one small little flask of oil that they thought was only going to last for one day. So they sent this messenger out and said, go get us more oil. And since there wasn't a Harris Teeter nearby, it took him approximately 8 days to get there because he had to walk. And so he went to go get the oil. And, of course, this is, my version of the story because I wasn't there. But, so he went to walk to get the oil, and they put the 1 day of oil up the eternal flame, and they were like, oh, we hope he gets back soon because then otherwise the oil's going to go out, and it would be a real bummer if we had to rededicate the temple again. So he goes, okay, guess what? The oil, miraculously, is still burning. And it's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 8 whole days of this miracle. So that's what we're celebrating with Hanukkah, is that even in the most difficult times when, the Jewish people could have been killed off, we had the opportunity to continue to thrive. So we're passing these traditions down to the next generation. We're celebrating our history. We're celebrating the Jewish people and miracles in general, prosperity. So there you go. All right. So love is one. We have our wonderful chaplains here today after service. We have Errol and Sharon, if you'd like to join us after service for some affirmative prayer. And now, our daily word. I choose peace. As I continue on the Advent journey, my thoughts turn to peace. I remember what gives me peace, the beauty of a sunset, a comforting hug, a heartfelt prayer. In those moments, peace encompasses all of my thoughts and feelings, transforming any worries or troubles. I wish to carry that feeling with me always. I realize I do not have to wait for specific experiences to feel peaceful. I have the power to claim peace at all times and in all situations. I affirm that divine peace is greater than any worldly condition. I remain centered and calm and don't let minor irritations knock me off center or linger in my awareness. God's peace is my peace forever. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. And now some special music.
Feel free to sing along with us if you know the words. You can play the game, you can act out the part, even though it wasn't written for you. But tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another. It doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only would. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only would. You can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. Tell me, what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone? Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel yourself beginning to ease. I think it's true what they say about the squeaky wheel, always getting the grease. It's better to shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only would. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel.
And now I have the wonderful opportunity to welcome Jackie Woodside to our community to share this week's message and meditation. So a little information about Jackie. Jackie Woodside is a USA Today and 4-time Amazon best-selling author. She's a TEDx speaker, an international trainer, an expert guest on television and radio, and professional coach. She is the founder of the Curriculum for Conscious Living and the Conscious Living Summit, and trains coaches around the world to deliver this life-changing work. Jackie is a certified professional coach and licensed psychotherapist with 30 years of experience in both fields. Jackie offers professional development training, keynote speeches, and retreats around the globe. So let's give a warm Unity of Gaithersburg welcome to Jackie.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. It's awesome to see you. Thank you for spending time with me today, with all of us coming here to be together in faith community. I love coming to church. It's such a blessing, and especially now at the holiday time. Pam, that was wonderful. I really enjoyed that teaching about your Jewish faith tradition, and I learned some things from that. It was really delightful. Actually, I feel like I'm pretty schooled up. You guys just want to call it a day? Anyway, thank you for that. So Pam shared a little bit about her faith tradition, and I'll begin that way as well. My faith tradition is that I was raised Catholic, very Catholic indeed. My mother was the bishop's secretary until she retired. So yeah, you can imagine how Catholic I was. And it was wonderful. I had a wonderful experience of Catholic youth, and I'm very grateful for that, especially this time of year. And any people here from the Catholic tradition? Yeah, so you guys will play along. I love this part of the Catholic Mass. Peace be with you. There we go. We're off to a good start. Yeah. Peace be with you and also with you is one of the parts of the service, and then you go around and spread your COVID germs to everybody by giving a handshake or a hug. Anyway, we'll skip over that part. So, it's just, I have to tell you, it was delightful for me to spend the last couple of weeks preparing a talk about peace. We're living in some interesting times, aren't we? And so to spend a couple of weeks really diving in deeply to the topic of peace, thinking about inner peace, thinking about my peace, being at peace was really, I should be paying you guys, it was really very healing and very helpful for me to spend these last couple of weeks preparing for this talk. And as I was working on the talk, I recognized that there's actually two different kinds of peace. And the reading from the Daily Word today actually addressed that. So I kind of loosely categorized them as psychological peace, the psychological experience of peace, which is, a sense of relaxation and comfort, getting away from it all, self-care, taking care of yourself, feeling a sense of repose from all of the demands that life puts on us. It tends to be more transient and circumstantial. You get away for a weekend, maybe go to the beach or get away, go to the forest, and you feel a sense of peace, but as you're driving back into the city, you can feel your state begin to change. That's what I call psychological peace. And there's another level of peace that I call spiritual peace, or the consciousness of peace. And that is more enduring. It's less a product of what's around you. It's not circumstantial or external. It literally is a sense of who you are and a way of being that you bring to your life and bring to your circumstances. And that's what I think is important for us as practitioners of New Thought, people committed to the New Thought tradition, to be focused on. And the really cool part is if and as you develop your consciousness of peace, the psychological peace just comes right along with it. You can't have one without the other. It will come. Dr. David Hawkins, who was the late Dr. David Hawkins, a spiritual teacher and consciousness researcher out of Sedona, Arizona. He was a consciousness researcher and developed a model of consciousness from a numeric model from 0 to 1,000 with different states of being throughout 17 different states of being or levels of consciousness. Developed that model to help us understand our spiritual growth. And he showed that the consciousness of peace is one of the highest ways to live in your spiritual and human existence. In fact, he showed that the consciousness of peace is a higher level of being than even the consciousness of love or the consciousness of joy. That the consciousness of peace includes and subsumes those other levels of love and peace. It's a very high level of consciousness and high level of being. But things take us off our center, don't they? We have outer experiences that impact us in such a way that we lose that sense of being peace. Being stuck in traffic isn't a hassle or a problem. It's the perfect expression of traffic at that point in that time where you happen to be. I appreciate the laughter. It's possible, right? The consciousness of peace is seeing things as they are in their innate perfection. Not the way we think they should be, but seeing things in their own innate perfection right here, right now. So the unkind comment from a friend or family member isn't cause for drama and upset. It is seeing their current and evolving relational capacity. in this now moment. A book half written or half conceived isn't, a mess, a masterpiece waiting to happen. It is a book perfectly half written and half conceived in its beginning form. It is a book in its beginning form. It is its beginning of creation. So in the consciousness of peace, what we have the opportunity to do is develop ourselves to the degree in consciousness, to the experience of consciousness, that we're able to just see our current experience the way it is right here, right now. This talk isn't a talk half done. It's a talk really well done up till this point. If I stop right now, you'd be like, damn, what's the rest? No, she's like, it's perfect right here, right now, the way it is. I'm from Massachusetts, and I was flying from Boston to Tampa in February about 4 or 5 years ago. And, that is always a little precarious flying anywhere out of the Northeast in February with weather conditions. And I got to the airport, and everything was going along just swimmingly fine. And it was about time to begin to board, and I looked out the big windows, at the terminal, and yes, I saw the snow starting to kind of come down and mixed in with rain, and sure enough, not too long, there was the announcement of we have to wait for the wings to de-ice the wings, which I'm like, yes, de-ice those bad boys. I'm good with that. And we sat there, and they said, it'll take about a half hour, and we should be boarding, and of course, over that half hour, now the snow is going sideways, and mixed with sleet, and the announcements come, and we're going to be delayed, and we hope things will move along, and then another hour, and then another hour, and then another hour. It was about 4.5 hours of waiting, and then, of course, who wants to get on the plane at that point, because the conditions aren't great, but we fly, and of course, I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't have a direct flight. I went from Boston to LaGuardia. Thank you. We get to LaGuardia. That storm seems to be tracking us just perfectly. We land pretty bumpy landing. My stomach is all churned. We get to LaGuardia, and I'm exhausted. And now I'm like 6-7 hours into this trip. I'm still not anywhere near Tampa. I get to my gate, and sure enough, I'm looking across, and I'm exhausted, and the weather is still bad, and the announcements are still happening. And there's this woman sitting across me who was an older woman, and she happened to be a nun, and she was on my flight from Boston as well. And I thought, well, that's unusual. And I was looking at her, and I'm noticing this thing about her. She was just completely placid. It's like chill. People are on their phones or, kind of stressed out, and the announcements start, the flight's going to be delayed, the weather conditions we hope to get you out tonight, all of that. And I'm watching her, and, the announcements come, and everybody's, you hear the collective, oh, and people get on their phones and telling that. So that, you can feel the stress. It's palpable. And, Sister Mary, whatever, is just sitting there. Just completely chill. Well, I couldn't stand it any longer, right? Spiritual teacher that I am. And so I get up and I go over and sit down next to her. And I was like, gosh, this is quite an experience, huh? And she just smiles and yeah. I said, I can't help but ask you, everybody looks so frail, and I'm exhausted, and, she's 20 years older at least than I am, and she's just, completely fine, doesn't look tired. I said, what, you look completely happy or fine or content. Like, what is... And she said something to me that I can still hear it in my ears and remember it like it was yesterday. She just smiled very sweetly at me and said, why would I fret over this? I've learned that wherever I am is the right and perfect place. That wherever I am is where I am. And that is the perfect place for me to be. There's nowhere I need to be other than just where I am. And I've learned to be happy no matter what is happening in me or around me. And I thought, there's some wisdom in that. And the reading today from the Daily Word also called from Philippians chapter 4. And I've actually, as I was preparing today, I found Philippians chapter 4 to be an excellent treatise in how to live a spiritually evolved, peaceful life. How do you stay in that center of peace? How do you be that being of peace regardless of what is happening around you? It's an extraordinary way to live. And it's possible for us. And in fact, I would go so far as to say it's not only possible, it is our spiritual duty to commit our lives to creating ourselves as people constituted in the consciousness of peace. So in Philippians chapter 4, we'll start with verse 5 through 7. It's written by the Apostle Paul, and he says in verse 5, let's just start right here. Don't be anxious about a thing. Mic drop, right? Just mic drop. I think there was an editorial error in the Bible that was actually supposed to be one of the 10 commandments, and it just didn't get in there, right? Don't be anxious about a thing. How many of you can say you live that way? But there it is, Philippians chapter 4, verse 5. Don't be anxious about a thing. And it's like, well, how? Well, stay with you, because it actually goes on to tell you. Don't be anxious about a thing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. And I love this because this is exactly what Charles Fillmore has taught in the Unity movement, that what is ours to do is give thanks in advance. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of the Unity movement, I assume you all know that, don't need to make that assumption. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of the Unity movement, teaches a form of prayer called affirmative prayer. And in affirmative prayer, that is exactly what you do. You don't just supplicate and say, please, I hope, will this come to pass? But you give thanks in advance for the fulfillment of your needs. So what Paul is teaching in this chapter, Philippians 4, I think are three really important things. First of all, not to be anxious. Secondly, to use affirmative prayer. And thirdly, to practice being content. We'll get to that third one. So the first one, verse 5, don't be anxious about a thing. But instead, through prayer and supplication, prayer, having a dialogue with God. If you don't have an active prayer life, you will not be actively engaged in the growth of your consciousness, the growth of your spiritual relationship, the growth of your, even I believe, your psychological growth. I think psychological growth that isn't rooted in spiritual growth is transient and passing. So do not be anxious about a thing. In all things, through prayer and supplication meaning asking for, making your needs known to God, with thanksgiving, make your requests known before God. And then this last part, and the peace of God will guard your heart and mind. So how do you guard your heart and mind? Through prayer, through faith, through affirmative prayer, and by not worrying about a thing. It's an extraordinary treatise on how we live this way. I want to say a little bit about the peace of God that passes all understanding. It's an interesting phrase, isn't it? And I've thought a lot about that. And I do feel like I've had experiences of the peace of God that passes all understanding. My grandmother, Woodside, she was from upstate New York. She was an extraordinary woman. Her name was Grace. And she went through some experiences in life that I believe are beyond kind of human understanding. My grandmother had the experience of losing her husband and her oldest son and her youngest son in 3 separate car accidents, all within 9 months of each other. So she lost her husband, my grandfather, my father, and his brother in 3 separate car accidents in 9 months' time. And you can imagine, it was a small town, you know, even 20, 30 years later, people would meet me and hear my last name was Woodside, and they'd be like, oh, that Woodside family? I was like, yeah, that was, my father was Jack, and like, oh, I'm sorry. It was like, it was 20 years ago. But like, that was kind of my family legacy. And my grandmother, of course, was central to that. And you can imagine what one would experience, the grief, just kind of a sense of giving up, and how can I go on, and you know, my life. And I remember it didn't really I didn't quite understand it at the time, but as I've grown in my spiritual maturity and psychological maturity, I've come to really appreciate when people would come to Grandma and say things, you know, offer condolences or whatever, and she would always say, you know, we all go through hard times. And I'm so blessed. I still have Tommy, my Uncle Tom, her one son that didn't die. I still have Tommy, and I have these beautiful grandkids. Aren't I blessed? the peace of God that passes all understanding. I think that's the kind of experience that we're called upon when we're in the face of those difficult times, or even the not so difficult times, the everyday times. It's extraordinary. So what stands in the way of us living this way? What stands in the way? Well, let me ask you, what stands in the way of living, do not worry about a thing, in all things with thanksgiving? What stands in the way of living that way? Yeah, exactly. Right here. There's one thing. It is not your spouse. It is not the economy. It is not the coronavirus. It is not the current politics. It is not any of those things. What stands in the way of your peace of mind is one thing. It's how you think, how you are using your mind. How you are using your mind determines the experience that you have, and it determines the consciousness that you live in. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs. I have a whole workshop series that I teach called Use Your Mind to Train Your Brain. Your mind, not the yama mind, not that one, but your higher mind, your connection with God, your spiritual consciousness. Use your mind to literally train and rewire your brain. It's possible through the magic of neuroplasticity. Don't get me started. I could talk all day and we'll be here until tonight. Okay, sorry. Bring yourself back. Come back to the talk. You with me, though? This is how you do it. We have a choice all the time. But it's, what you need to understand is that the way that you think is automatic. There's an automaticity, stimulus response. There's a stimulus response mechanism that's called the ego. Something happens, you have your automatic response to it, and blah, 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 it comes out your mouth. You can learn to interrupt that. And I love that in Philippians chapter 4, Paul actually tells us how. Verses 8 and 9, the scripture says, if anything is right, noble, pure, lovely, admirable, if anything is praiseworthy or excellent, think on these things. That's the treatise on how to use your mind. But how do we use our mind? And she said that, and she did this, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and this is going to happen. And stop. Learn to use your mind, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is beautiful, whatever is lovely, whatever is excellent or praiseworthy. Think on these things. That's what's ours to do. That's how you learn to use your mind in a different way. How do you do that? You do that by really training yourself, paying attention to what's working in your life. I know it seems kind of trite and passé, but keeping a gratitude journal, there's so much science behind that now and how it rewires your neurology. It trains your mind to notice what's working rather than what's missing. It's a beautiful experience of how to be attending to. So just take a moment now and really think, what are all the blessings in your life? I know you came here with maybe some concerns on your heart this morning. Maybe you have family members who are ill, or you're worried about the new coronavirus variant, or you're worried about what's happening in D.C. There's some march there yesterday that looked kind of ominous. I mean, goodness knows there's lots going on in the world, but every day I have the blessing of health. I have the blessing of a car that I drove here from Massachusetts. I have the blessing of a warm home and clothes and food and friends and the unity community and the unity teachings. I have lots of warm socks and winter coats. Right? We have an abundance of beautiful and good things. And it really is through our cultural narrative that we have forgotten that what is ours to do is to think on those things, to think on those things that are right and beautiful and admirable and praiseworthy. Were you? What'd they say? She said, we were talking about that in the car. Yeah, I could hear that. Yeah, I know. It's funny, my spouse is deaf, but I'm not. That's really funny. She really is. I'm fluent in sign language. I lived on campus at Gallaudet for 3 years. So what were you saying in the car? Like, you need to be focused on what's working, not what's broken.
What you were talking about in just our reactions to things.
Yeah, our reactions. Yeah.
Think a certain way.
Yeah.
Be a certain way.
Absolutely. We have been trained to think a certain way. You've got to recognize, I call it your default context. You have a default context that is kind of spoon-fed to you by your culture. And if you don't recognize that's what's happening out there, that's why cultivating a deep inner world, we will not know world peace without knowing individual peace. Our job one is to know ourselves deeply as peaceful human beings. Is a spiritual teacher, how long do I have, by the way? It's 1:15. Am I good? You're good. Am I good? All right, I'm just going to tell you one more, and then I'm going to have a couple more verses, and then I'll say something and we'll conclude. How's that? But there's a spiritual teacher that, I can't say enough about her and the degree to which she has changed my life and posthumously changed my life. She's being hailed as a modern-day mystic. Her name is Etty, E-T-T-Y, short for Esther, Etty Hillesum. Etty Hillesum was a Dutch socialite and intellectual living in Amsterdam in 1941. During the rise of Nazi Germany, and during that time, she was a socialite and an intellectual. Her brother was a concert pianist. One of her parents was a doctor. Very highly educated, a prolific writer, and her diaries. So the book, it's a few books about her, but her diaries called "An Interrupted Life," the Diaries of Etty Hillesum, were published posthumously. After she died in the concentration camps. Her process, as she began writing in 1941, as she could begin seeing what was going to happen in Amsterdam and what was happening in Poland, what was happening in Germany, is that the Jewish people were going to be exterminated. She said they will stop at nothing until the complete annihilation of the Jews, and that's what's before us. There's nothing we can do about it, really, except we cannot cause our own suffering by trying to resist what they're going to do. So her journal, her diary, is her coming of age spiritually from her own kind of, her early part of her diary. She writes a lot about her neuroses, about her negativity, about her fears, about her wanting to possess anything that she loved. She wrote a lot about her kind of neurotic inner world that we all have some experience of, and then kind of trails and tracks her transcendence. And a couple of the more powerful quotes, because of her, she was a typist in the Jewish Council, and the Jewish Council was the intermediary agency between the Nazis and the Jews. So she, because of her role in the Jewish Council, actually had the opportunity to move to a transit camp called Westerbork, and then move back into Amsterdam. So she saw what was happening in the concentration camps, and then she would come back into the city. And she would actually ask to go back into the concentration camps. She was described there as a luminous personality, a luminous person who was bringing comfort to everyone around her. And as she would go into the camps, she said she would often try to look into the eyes of her captors and try to see their soul. And she wrote in her diary, "And I will not bring hatred." I sometimes fall into the thought of this awful scum that they are, but I will not bring hatred, because any ounce, any atom of hatred that I bring into this world only makes the world a more inhospitable place. It was very, very powerful. And then later, as she was recognizing that she was soon going to go from the Westerbork camp to Auschwitz, and she knew that she would be met with her demise there, she wrote of her experience. She said the life and death, pain and suffering, joy and sorrow, it is all one to me. The blisters on my feet, the flowers out back, the jasmine in my yard. It has all become one. It is all one experience of life itself. For Etty, life became her sanctuary. Life was her temple. The most tragic, horrible atrocities that she was witnessing and in the face of. And rather than falling to the demise of that, lifting herself up, saying that she knew that God lived within her, in this vast expanse that sometime got covered over with bramble and sticks and dirt, but I would have to deep in to excavate God to live as me. Because I know there are times that I have to help God out. That's the level of commitment that I believe is called upon us today. We are living in extraordinary times. We are living in times of incredible change, economic change. Anybody buy NFTs yet? Anybody know what an NFT is? Yeah, right? You think things are changing so fast. Cryptocurrency, the economic changes, the political changes, rise of autocracy. I'll give a workshop on that later. Non-fungible token, it's a new thing in the economy. But the change in our world is happening, and it's happening so fast. We really need to spend time over this holiday season thinking about what is my response right here, right now, to the changes that are happening in our world, and how will I live my spiritual relationship with God in such a way that I know peace. We will not experience peace in the world until we experience peace within. It's interesting that Eddie wrote much of her diaries while she was in Westerbork, and Paul's writing in Philippians was also written while he was in prison. See, your outer condition is not the determinant of your consciousness. Your relationship with God, your commitment to living a spiritual life is what determines your experience. As within, so without, not the other way around. And we have that very confused. So to wrap up, Paul, at the end of chapter 4, says, I've learned to be content no matter what my circumstances. I know what it's like to have plenty, and I know what it's like to be in need. I've learned the secret of being content no matter what my situation, whether hungry or well-fed, whether in want or plenty. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That is our charge. It's the holiday season. It's a time for us to really think about what's our upcoming year going to look like. What goals do you have? And if you don't have spiritual goals, goals to grow in peace, goals to grow in love, goals to grow in consciousness, goals to excavate that interior landscape where God lives so that you are experiencing your day-to-day life as one with God, then we will never know peace. So let us together today commit to knowing peace by being peace. Let's take these thoughts now with a little bit of music, and we'll lead this beautiful meditation chant into a time of affirmative meditation.
We're going to sing All Is Well to lead us into meditation. As I close my eyes and the world disappears, I can feel my breath rise and fall. There's a light inside that dispels all my fears, and I feel a gentle voice calling, all is well, 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 all is well.
If you're comfortable doing so, I invite you to close your outer eyes so that your inner eyes may awaken. Just taking a moment now to center yourself in this now moment. Let's begin this meditation as we begin all things, and that is with simply focusing on the breath. Taking a deep cleansing breath and release. And again, a second deep cleansing breath. And release. Notice that when your breathing slows down, your body and mind immediately follow suit. Allowing your body to be in this now moment, to be here now. Allowing your body and mind to be in the same place. Feeling the energy around you, the energy of this community, the energy of this place. Affirming silently to yourself, all is well. Opening your inner eyes to the inner landscape, to the depth of your being where God resides. You are one with God. You are here to make manifest the peace of God among all humanity, in your workplace, in your family, in your community, and in our world. Be at peace. May all beings be at peace. I want you to call to mind now an area of your life that perhaps you've fallen away from the experience of peace, that you've perhaps moved into some sense of worry, uncertainty, doubt. And calling that area to mind, I invite you to just surround it now with the peace of God. Surround yourself with the knowing that all is well. Coming to see the situation that you've been struggling with and worried about as right and whole and perfect in its current form. Even if you don't like it, even if you don't agree with it, even if it's not pleasant, it is right and perfect the way that it is now in its current form. I accept. I surrender. I release. Breathing in to the perfection that life is. Breathing out acceptance and surrender. Silently affirm with me now, I know that all is well. Silently affirm, I am committed to being peace. I am committed to seeing peace. I am committed to bringing peace in all I do. Take these thoughts now with you into your inner chamber for a few moments of silent meditation. And we say thank you, God, for this time of connection and community, oneness and growth. Thank you that peace is always within us, even when it is not all around us. Thank you for the knowing that at any moment, in any circumstance, we can make the divine choice to be at peace. And so it is.
Think of your fellow man, lend a helping hand, put a little be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you wouldn't know, we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Let's just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah, put a little love in your heart. Oh, put a little love in your heart. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Yeah, put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart.
And I'd like to thank Jackie one more time for sharing with us that wonderful reminder that we can choose peace beside our thinking minds, our mistaken identities, and even our external situation. It's quite the miracle to take in during this season. All right, and now let us talk about our tithes and offerings. It's now your opportunity to invest in all the work that Unity of Gaithersburg does, such as bring these wonderful speakers, to share with you. So if you'd like to drop your offering in the box in the back, you can do so, or you can go to our website, or you can text GIVE to our number there and just follow the prompts. So thank you for your investment. And now our divine offering blessing. Divine love, I am, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am so grateful. Okay, let's open the door and bring in our children.
Walking as the light, I am walking as the light. Walking as the light, walking as the light, walking.
Can you repeat after me? Say, peace begins with me. Say, peace begins with me. Can you say that?
Peace begins for me.
Woo! Awesome. All right. Now let's do our blessing. I am the. Oh, he's shy today. That doesn't happen. Can you get us started?
I am the light of the world.
Live as the light.
Now let's tell them.
You are the light of the world. You live
life. Together.
We are the light of the
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us, and wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen, 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 amen. Look around. If you're feeling down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see.